Welcome to Norton Chemistry. A-Level Chemistry can be a very challenging subject, and as such you will need a range of resources to help you both learn and revise the difficult content. In this video, I'm going to be ranking and giving the pros and cons of each, based on my experiences in A-Level Chemistry. Of course, it goes without saying that this list is entirely subjective, and what works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. It does depend on your preferences and the revision methods which work best for you. This might mean that you need to try all of the revision resources over the 2-year course, or you may already know which method suits you best, following on from your GCSE exams. I will include as many links as possible in the description. I have ranked 8 revision resources from worst to best in this video. Of course, there are more available, but I have selected the ones that I use to help me get an A-star. Number 8. Snaprevise Revision Cards. One of the major pros of these revision cards is that they cover the entire specification in only 200 cards. They're easy to transport, and they have exam questions on the back, so that you can apply your knowledge from the information on the front of the cards. The exam questions also include work solutions to help you understand where you've gone wrong when you answer the questions. They're also colourful and neatly organised, so if you're a visual learner they might suit you. However, they do have some cons. They need to be purchased and they cost about £15. However, you can purchase them for cheaper on sites like eBay second-hand. They can also become quite disorganised because the cards aren't arranged in a way where you can keep them separated by module very easily. Also, because they've had to fit all of the information onto small cards, it can mean that they miss some key information in certain areas of the specification, especially when you get onto year 13, where analysis of the content needs to go deeper than the cards can allow. I wouldn't recommend them as a sole revision resource, but as a backup to other methods which I'll mention in this video, they can be a good resource. Number 7. The CGP Revision Guide and Exam Practice Workbook. Some of the pros of these is that they're visually pleasing, so for visual learners, they could really help you revise effectively. Also, the information is presented in an easy to understand way. They summarise the information well so that it's easier to digest. So it's really good as you're going along and learning the content to look through the CGP Revision Guide. And then you can put it to practice in the Exam Practice Workbook. Also, they're relatively cheap if you can buy them through your school. However, they do have some major cons. The exam practice is limited. The questions don't really challenge you in the same way that the exams will, and they don't necessarily test your application of content, rather just your recall. Also, the revision guides do miss some deeper analysis of the specification content, where other resources on this list do. And also, the CGP revision guide itself isn't a form of active recall, so you have to be careful that you don't just read through the revision guide or highlight keywords. You need to use it in a way that's active and tests your recall of knowledge. Number 6 is the Oxford OCR Textbook, which your school will often give you, which is a major advantage as you don't have to purchase it. It has practice questions at the end of chapters which are very similar to the exam questions, so this provides really good application of content which you need to be successful in your exams. Also, you can select which practice questions you want to do based on which areas you need to prioritise. The notes in the textbook aren't missing any information. They match the specification and even go beyond the specification, so they'll really help you in your exams, especially in paper 3, where you'll be tested on content beyond the specification. However, the notes can contain information which isn't really needed. This can make the notes difficult to read and even more difficult to recall the key information which you will be tested on in exams. Also, the answers in the answer book are often incorrect because they rushed the publication of the textbook when the new specification came out, so just be wary of that when you're marking your answers. Number 5. Physicsandmathstutor Notes, which are available online. The pros of these is that they're a free resource that you can download from the Physicsandmathstutor website. They cover most of the content and specification and include application of the content to example answers for exam questions, where they walk you through how to answer questions in an exemplary manner. There are very few cons for these notes. However, it does depend on how you use them. Since they're notes, you may be tempted to just read them rather than using them in an active way, such as to help you answer exam questions. They also miss some of the more advanced details, and the questions lack extended application to more difficult questions. Number 4 is the Physicsandmathstutor Exam Questions, which are also available for free online. One of the major pros of this resource is that it's a form of active revision. It forces you to answer questions in a way which you'll be required to in exams, and it aids your recall by helping you do similar questions over and over again, and this repetition helps reinforce key concepts in your memory. Practice questions are the best revision method because of their active nature, and the questions are very similar to those that you'll see in exams because they're drawn from past papers, from this specification and the previous specification. as well as other exam boards which can help you prepare for paper 3, where you'll be tested on content from outside of the specification. They're also a good way to plan your revision and make sure you've covered everything in the spec, because if you do all of the questions available on Physicsandmathstutor, I promise you'll be fully prepared for every exam you do. However, there are some cons. There are some mark scheme errors because some of the questions are drawn from the textbook, so they carried those errors over to the mark schemes on the website. Also, the adverts on the side of the page can be very annoying, as they can start playing while you're trying to concentrate. This can distract you sometimes, however it's a minor drawback since it's a free resource. Another con is that the website can sometimes go down where the servers lose connection, and so you can't always access the questions. However, it's quite rare, and it is a free resource, so it's only a small drawback. Another con is that they're not in the exact format of exam papers. The next resource that I'm going to talk to you about will help you address this issue. Number 3. OCR Past Papers. You can access these from the OCR website, and they can help you, and you can do the practice papers for paper 1, 2 and 3 for AS and A-Level Chemistry, and practice questions are the best revision method. They also provide moderated mark schemes, so there's no errors in the mark schemes. You can practice the exam paper format, so when you go into the exam, you're prepared and ready for the format that they're going to ask you to answer questions in. You can watch my past paper walkthroughs to help you explain any difficult questions which you may come up against. There are very few cons to these past papers, because the questions that have come up before are very likely to come up again, as the chemistry specification is limited. However, if I had to find one con, it's that they can be time consuming. Each paper can take 2 hours and 15 minutes, which can be a big time commitment which you may not want to make. However, I promise you that every minute is worth it. Number 2. NortonChemistry Notes. These are my notes which are available on my website, and I made them during my A-levels, in which I achieved an A-star in chemistry. They include pictures and diagrams of key concepts to help you visualize when you're learning content. They cover the whole specification, including the more difficult concepts. They're easy to organize and find information quickly, and you can print them or use them digitally. By purchasing the notes, you can help save your time and prevent yourself from wasting energy on making notes. Making notes is passive, and you want to spend as much time as possible doing active revision, so you can use the notes alongside exam questions to help maximize your grade. They do have some cons. They are paid, but it's worth it. You need to make sure that you use them in the correct way, in an active way, such as alongside exam questions, or to help you make flashcards. That brings us on to my number 1 revision resource for A-Level Chemistry, the NortonChemistry Flashcards, which are also available on my website. These flashcards are made and used by an A-star student. They use an artificial intelligence powered red, amber, green prioritization tool to help ensure that you repeat each flashcard the optimum number of times depending on how comfortable you are with the content within it. They encourage active recall and spaced repetition, which are the cornerstones of any good revision resource. They're also time saving because you won't have to make any of your own flashcards. They'll all be ready to go for you. They also cover the entire specification, so you can be sure that when you go into your exam, there won't be any specification points which you've missed. The only con is that they're paid, but as with my notes, they're worth every penny, in my opinion. In conclusion, the quality and effectiveness of a revision resource really depends on how you use it. If you use it in an active way, it will help improve your grade. Keep in mind the essential requirements for revision which is effective: active recall, spaced repetition, and prioritization. As I said earlier, this is a subjective list personal to myself, but hopefully it should help to guide you in selecting the resources which work best for you. If you want to purchase my resources, check out my website. The link is in the description below. Make sure to check out my other videos, including how to prepare for Year 12 A-Level Chemistry, which should be in the top right hand corner now.